Merry meet. Isn't that a funny greeting? Let's try it. Merry meet.
Merry meet.
You are all officially pagans. Welcome. I'm Rev Michelle, the minister of this congregation. My pronouns, which I offer to create a truly inclusive and brave space for all to live into the fullness of their identities, are she and her. We are so glad that each one of you is here today. If you are a newcomer, we hope you'll keep coming back. If you're a long-timer, maybe change up the seating arrangement. You can get a whole new perspective on what it can be like in this space when you sit someplace else. But if your neck is already like, I can only look this way, stay where you are. For those gathered here in the chapel, I invite you to place your phones on worship mode, airplane mode, off. You fill in the type of reminder for yourself that fits your theology. Just, you can help us to be truly inclusive of the folks who are joining us on the live stream by freeing up the bandwidth. And, you know, you're not going to be like recording the service because you can watch it later. So everything has been pre-planned. And truly, everything about our time together has been carefully crafted to create a cohesive experience. And so you can let yourself relax, actually arrive in this space, take a breath, because the next thing we're going to do is sing. So our gathering music this morning is found in the gray hymnal, number 361. The words will be posted up front. Enter, rejoice, and come in. If you are reading from the hymnal, there are 5 verses, so just pay attention to those. But there are not 6, so be careful of having an unintentional solo. I invite you to rise in body or spirit as we sing with gusto. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your ears to the song. Open your ears to the song. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your hearts, everyone. Open your hearts, everyone. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Don't be afraid of some change. Change? Don't be afraid of some change. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and now sing it like you mean it. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. You can sing that way all the time. It'd be okay. You may be seated. Oh, what did I do? Les, I messed up. Okay. Thank you. No, please go back. The land acknowledgement, the waterfall, yes, please. There we go. When we gather, we employ the elements of water and fire to create the sacred space where we can be fully present. So we begin, Sam, if you'll come up, we begin with a land acknowledgement, understanding that our church is built on holy ground, land that was nurtured and cultivated by those who occupied it before us. And so Sam will offer a libation, pouring the water over the rocks as our giveaway, as we honor the struggle of all people seeking justice and peace. We seek the courage and wisdom to heal the wounds of the past and build a better future story with all our neighbors and fellow creatures together. It is our custom when we gather to light a chalice. The chalice is a cup or a vessel that symbolizes the gathered community. The flame represents the spark that each one of us brings to represent the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of our commitment to make a difference in the world. As Sam lights the flame, I invite you to join me in our chalice lighting words. We gather this hour as people of faith, with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning, in celebration of the life we share together. Each week, you are invited to bring your whole self into this space. Whether you are physically in the space that we call the chapel, or if you are joining on the live stream or later on YouTube, you are part of this container of love and hope. In this space, we gather at a table at the center, at the heart, and we bring our whole selves, our joys, our concerns, our sorrows, our overwhelm. Stop watching so much news. But even if you can't stop yourself from watching so much news, all are invited to come forward and to place a stone or a shell on the table labyrinth in honor of all that you bring. Come as you will. I place a final stone in honor of those who are gathered with us from afar. And let's expand the circle of love and concern to those who may not be here, but who are definitely present with us. We bring into our circle of love and care those who are ill, and those who are caring for someone who is ill. Those who are in pain, either in body or in spirit. Those who are lonely. Those who are overwhelmed and feeling lost. Those who have been wronged. We are part of a web of life that connects us with all the universe. All the universe. We are grateful for the miracle of consciousness that we share, the consciousness that gives us the power to remember, to love, and to care. May it ever be so in our lives. Amen and blessed be. Please join me in our song, musical response. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. So that is a fairly recent photograph, much more recent than my last attendance there. That's the church of my teenage years. So when I was a teenager, my folks and I would go to the early service at church, followed by Sunday school for all ages, and then a second service for those who were too lazy to get up. The early service started at 8:15, and let me tell you, that was a commitment. And then, by the time we got done with Sunday school, greeted a few people, by the time we got home, it was a little after 11, and we were hungry. And so while my mom and I would make sandwiches, my dad would go to the TV, put it on the right channel, and then go sit in his comfy chair. Because way back in the day, there were no remotes. You had to know what channel you wanted before you got comfy. Otherwise, it's getting up, going back and forth, fixing the rabbit ears. Some of you have no idea what I'm talking about. And we always watched the same thing as we ate our sandwiches at our TV trays. It was like we saw a movie once about how to look like a middle-class American family. And so we had our TV trays, and they were the tin ones. Oh, memories. So we would watch reruns of Abbott and Costello movies. Bud Abbott and Lou Costello were American comedians whose work in radio, film, and television made them the most popular comedy team in the 1940s and 50s, and the highest paid entertainers in the world during the Second World War. I know. There was a universality to the humor. And so we're just going to experience a little bit, because if you have looked at the front of your order of service, don't get excited, there are no special stickers, no prize today, but I know you're on your toes for that. And those of you who weren't here that Sunday, you'll find out another time when there's a magic sticker. But on the front cover, there is a picture of, I think, one of the most brilliant routines. Who's on first? And we're going to do some serious wondering about who's on first today. And that serious wondering is best begun with some not so serious verbal shenanigans. Isn't it funny how we can be saying all the right things and still be misunderstood? Let's sing our children to their activities. Go in love, our hearts go with you. Go in joy, our hopes go too. Learn in love and grow in wisdom. Shine And now we'll move into our slightly more serious part of the service. Lorraine.
We come to love a church, the traditions, the histories, and especially the generations of its people. Through these people, young and old, known and unknown, we reach out, both backward into history and forward into the future, to link together the generations in this imperfect but blessed community of memory and hope. And now we're going to have words from the Endowment Trust. Our first speaker is Barry Kent.
Good morning. My name is Barry Kent, and I currently serve as the treasurer of the UUCA Endowment Trust. So what is an endowment? From the internet, the definition is, or one definition, a gift to a nonprofit organization for a specific purpose or the total investable assets of such an organization. The Unitarian Universalist Church of Amherst Endowment Trust was set up to invest and manage gifts and bequests for the benefit of our church. The Endowment Trust is a tax-free, tax-exempt 501c3 organization set up in accordance with the requirements of the IRS. I'd like to note that I have the honor of being the third member of my family to serve on the ET board, following my mother Doris and my brother Jerry. My mother was also a member of the UUCA Legacy Endowment Trust Legacy Society. She had signed the legacy form confirming that a bequest to the ET was included in her will. As the executive of her estate, I sent the bequest to the ET as she had wished. Now I'd like to invite Sylvia Moran up to speak about the history of our endowment trust. Thank you.
My husband, Mike Moran, who is now deceased, and I walked into this church about 60 years ago. We were looking for a church for ourselves, to join for ourselves, and to a place for our 4 children. A friend, and was a member of this church, he knew us very well, and so he said we had UU leanings, and so we might be comfortable with the church's philosophy and the people. Well, he wasn't wrong. We joined, and we stayed, and we stayed, and we stayed. The church was here for us when we needed it, and we want the church to be here for others in the future. That's why Mike and I were, I guess, some of the beginners. We got involved at the beginning of the Endowment Trust Fund. We were with like-minded people who also wanted to do the same thing. And what we felt was the church needed a financial cushion to ride out hard times, for emergencies, to provide for unanticipated needs, for long-term needs, even for unlikely, though possible, natural disasters. Think of all the churches in the path of Helene. The fund took years to grow since its official adoption in 1992. The first 10, 15 years, You were engaged in writing the document itself, getting it approved, and getting it through the nasty IRS bureaucracy. Also, it was a time of education and publicity so that people would get to know what the endowment was and become familiar with it. A lot of face-to-face contact and endless articles in the foreword. There was no financial advisor at the beginning because there wasn't enough of the fund to manage. At its present, dare I say, substantial level of the endowment, it's amazing to me, actually, that it has grown to this extent. It's over $1 million, but it took about 34 years. And it represents a lot of hard work by a lot of dedicated people, some of them sitting here today. I wish I could tell you how many of those people there were involved. It was a lot. The fund itself is the result of donations, gifts, and bequests by many generous, committed people, and over a long time. And many of them, some of them living, and some of them not living. By 2015, the endowment had distributed close to $200,000 to the church board for a variety of purposes. For the physical plant repair and renovation, for moving expenses for a new minister, for the updating of the church's sound system, for the restoration of that piano, and also for operating fund deficits a couple of times. Now the endowment board has the services of a financial advisor, and the trust seems to be doing what was intended at the beginning, and even more. I have put the endowment in my will. You're thinking, she's not a spring chicken. It's about time she did that. Actually, I did it 25 years ago. It's not too soon, no matter what your age. The church is about to celebrate its 70th year anniversary. And I believe that having a solid endowment, a robust endowment, can help ensure that the church not only survives, but thrives for the next 70 years. The community here needs our voice. There is an endowment tree, whoop, you can see it right there, in the atrium, and it identifies people who have made donations to the endowment. Each leaf on the tree has the name of a donor. Perhaps you have the wherewithal and the inclination and would like to add your own leaf to that tree. I encourage you to do that. By the way, if you want a fuller biography of the endowment, it would take me about an hour or two, and I would need a chair. And now Diane Tucker will have a few words for you.
The whole idea of telling you all of this is because I have been here since 1972, And I knew this much about the endowment. That was those other older people thinking about when they die. Well, that's not at all what it's about. But as I've become more emotionally invested in the church, I have discovered that adulting is difficult. This was the lecture I gave my 33-year-old son the other day as he paid all his bills and bemoaned the fact. So what am I doing to help myself in the adulting world? I'm learning more about the history of this place, because when I'm gone, I don't just want it to be the things that I did, but the place that I left behind and the people that I love. The other misnomer that I had is that if I was part of the endowment, that I had to be rich. I certainly wasn't back in the 70s, and I don't feel rich now. And that I had to tell you how much money I was going to give. And that is not, in fact, the case. The case is I can make a commitment that upon my departure from this beautiful earth, I leave behind something for the institution I love and care about, and that is to be determined in the privacy of my will with my survivors. That helps me a lot, because as you travel through life, you have different financial needs. For years, I gave to the endowment unknowingly. Dear friends passed away, and I sent money to the church, and I just thought it went to the church. No, it went to the endowment, and it was invested, and there is a record of every nickel I ever gave, so that they know when I get my leaf on the tree. And I'm very incented to do it now. So I ask you to consider making a pledge to be part of the endowment, and you need not tell me how much your pledge is. We'll know when you're gone. Thank you.
Thank you. Who's on first? Sometimes church meetings and communications feel a little bit like an Abbott and Costello routine. Who took the minutes? Yes, that's right. Wait, who? Yes, but I don't know. Nope. Who took the minutes? There are so many ways that we think we are talking about the same thing, and then there is that delicious moment of misinformation meeting reality, where we realize that we really have no idea what is going on and what we might have just agreed to. Who's on first? What? I don't know. That comedy skit withstands the test of time because it is so human. We've probably all been on each side of a similar conversation that never really gets started and simply won't stop. But really, who is on first? These beloved people. The leaves on this tree represent those who have already made a commitment to the future of UU Amherst by contributing and or making pledges to contribute to the endowment as part of their end-of-life plans. It can be uncomfortable to talk about, much less even think about what we are planning or not for our humble exodus from this life. Although I rarely act my age and have taken to dressing a bit like a toddler most of the time, I turn 62 tomorrow. And I know that, yay! Well done, Michelle. Well, I haven't got there yet, but we're going to hold that happy thought. And when I look around, I know that that still makes me one of the youngsters in the room, which is, I hold that with mixed feelings. But I can't run from destiny, even if I don't act my age. I can't run, literally. Knee replacement, bursitis, arthritis, just being plain old out of shape. None of us can run from destiny. We come from mystery, and we return to mystery. I say those words at every memorial service or funeral that I officiate. We come from mystery, and we return to mystery. Our Unitarian Universalist faith makes no claims to knowing either end of our existence. We are free to come up with our own ideas. Yet there is an ultimate truth. We were born into this life, and we will leave it. I have spent time with the dead, with people who have breathed their last, and with animal companions after we've extended the mercy of ending their suffering. And there is a tangible difference between being alive and no longer being alive. It doesn't matter whether or not you believe in a soul or an afterlife or none of the above. There is a tangible difference between life and no life. Oh, why so dark, Michelle? Can't we just eat, drink, and be merry and slide into our graves a little tipsy and a woohoo, what a ride on our lips? I suppose, if you're into that kind of thing. But I have something a bit more interesting and far-reaching in mind. Because who's on first? Good ancestors. I have a really short clip from a TED Talk about good ancestors. Time rebel. That sounds like something to aspire to. Clearly, there are many ways to be good ancestors, and I hope that you will consider all of them. For me, in a really tangible, small way, that includes labeling as many old family photographs as I'm able, and including whatever stories I know of beloved ancestors. These are some of mine. Les and I recently had the opportunity to visit Dunfermline, Scotland, where my 12th great ancestor served as chamberlain to the Abbey and Royal Palace in the late 1470s. I sang in the remains of the lower kitchens, where surely this ancestor barked out orders of what casks of wine to open and serve, and how many loaves to prepare for the royal family. My body literally vibrated with the connection of 12 generations that began in Scotland and found their way to Buffalo, New York, where I was born 61 years and 364 days later. I understand the legacy of ancestor in a way I never did before. I'm going to play just the tiniest clip. Les took a video of me singing in these cavernous lower ruins of kitchens. If you listen carefully, sometimes birds answer. So cool. I'll go for one more high note. And we'll leave it awkwardly in that little spot. I understand the beauty of the moment, of people choosing to take their place in a long line of ancestors by leaving a legacy, a leaf on a tree that ensures that there will be a faith home where people can question and explore and heal. And where I am challenged is by the scope of what it means to be a good ancestor for the generations to come. I find the circles in the video to be so helpful in helping me to understand the timeline. 7.7 billion people alive today, that's the little green dot, which is just a fraction of the 100 billion people who have lived and died over the past 50,000 years, which is just the tiniest fraction of the 7 trillion people who will be born over the next 50,000 years, assuming that birth rates continue at the pace they are today. Our decisions today regarding our response to the global climate crisis, among so many other literally earth-shattering problems and decisions, will have an impact on future generations, and perhaps even on the probability of Homo sapiens continuing to exist. See my sermon from September 22nd and the evolution of humanity that I'm calling, as I put out into the universe, Homo emergere. I'll have to learn to say it before someone will put it on Wikipedia. So I can't even with these numbers. 12 generations, just over 550 years, is all I can manage with my own family tree. But 50,000 years? So let's bring it down to what we can know and who we can know and what is exactly on first at this moment. As we've heard, our congregation is celebrating our 70th anniversary. We know that a small number of folks left the Buffalo congregation in 1954 to start a suburban church in the wilds of Amherst. Today, we ask people who wish to cast their lot with UU Amherst to sign the book. I meant to bring it, it's big. If you'd like to sign the book today, I will gladly bring it out to you. It is literally the membership book that was begun with that original group in 1954. Of that group, and of the family and friends of those who have cast their lot with UU Amherst over 70 years, we have an endowment that we've learned is over $1 million. And not only does the endowment hold the vision of the future of UU Amherst, it is currently contributing to the annual operating expenses from its interest, recently to the tune of $50,000. Now that amount is not static. There is a level of math that comes to that number that is far beyond my understanding, and I'm so grateful for the folks who can do that. So what I will tell you is that we have just a few families or individuals who are able to give at the $10,000 a year level for their pledge to the operation of this congregation. And there's another small group that gives in that $5,000 to $10,000 range. Shall I continue doing the numbers of what the endowment is able to contribute? It's enormous. The folks who have embraced legacy giving are contributing to our annual needs and have taken their place as good ancestors to give to the future health of UU Amherst. We don't very often talk about acts of faith in this community, but I don't know what else to call it. This tree of endowment, let's see if that's actually the next slide. Nope. Yeah, the tree of endowment, legacy giving, is in the atrium, which is that green and growing space just off to the side of the chapel, which seems appropriate, doesn't it? All this life in that space as we symbolically extend the life of UU Amherst. It's folks who have believed in what this congregation is all about, as a safe haven, as a place to live our values, and a forward-thinking agent of change in a world that has incredibly myopic vision when it comes to the trillions of souls who will follow us. And that brings me to my second play on words, who's on first? I didn't misspell that. I really did purposely leave off the apostrophe and gave it a little E, because it changes the who's, right? So there's a hymn in our gray hymnal that is one of my favorites. It's a little bit dirgy. I say that with love. But and it is, we are not our own. And the lyrics are, we are not our own, earth forms us. Human leaves on nature's growing vine, fruit of many generations, seeds of life divine. Whose are we? We are not our own. Whose future is it? Not ours. So I'm going to say, whose children are these? If you were here on our water-in gathering, then you know whose children they are because they were dedicated in this space. And They are children that belong to the future. They belong to the loving arms who will nurture them in ways of compassion and justice. And it is my prayer that we will be those nurturers and those loving arms. Whose are we? We are one another's. We belong to our ancestors and to our descendants. My grandchildren just arrived. Hi. We are the ancestors for the generations to come. So here they are. So this whole ancestor thing is suddenly really important to me, because now I'm a grandparent and have been for almost 4 years. I have been personally, health-wise, on borrowed time for 30 years. I don't know how long I have left. None of us know. All I know that each day is such a gift, even when those days are filled with hardship and sorrow and complicated feelings. I'm speaking for all of you. If I have left off some of the things that you encounter each day, please know that I'm including that in this bubble. I'm so lucky. I have a partner who complements and amplifies my gifts. We have a daughter who is making an incredible difference in the world by helping people heal their lives. We have 3 grandchildren who bring us joy and who live close enough by to come to church. And I know that all of us, our ancestors and our descendants, live with distance and scarcity and the unknown. We live centuries apart and right next door. There is nothing between us but our own lack of imagination. So who's on first? We are. It is our move to make now. Who's on first? Spelled W-H-O-S-E. We are. We are not our own. We belong to all of it. What a marvelous time to be making a difference, to be living into our legacy as good ancestors. And you know what needs to happen when we've covered a lot of ground on really important concepts? It's time to sing. So this is one of my favorite little ditties in our gray hymnal. You can find it on page 402, From You I Receive. We're going to sing it through 3 times. I'm going to invite you to rise in body or spirit. The first time through, just to get it in your body. Second time through, sing it with conviction. Third time through, you could sing it to each other, because that's what it's about. You I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we sing to each other. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live. Please be seated. Like I say, we've covered a lot of ground this morning, and sometimes it's important to put on our lab coats and safety glasses and let the scientific method affirm what we have learned.
Hi, Tammy Kofke here, longtime church member and relatively new endowment trustee. I'm in my lab today to perform a demonstration of the different ways gifts from church members to the endowment contribute to the future of the church. This flask represents gifts given in honor of a church member or loved one, either during their lifetime or at their memorial service. This flask represents bequests that church members or others include in their wills. gifts contribute to the church's endowment. And as the endowment grows through careful investing, we can use some of the funds to help sustain our church for generations to follow.
Science has proven that the only way we can get to the green is through parts blue and yellow. Artists and scientists are equally affirmed. It's true. Our endowment, our pathway to good ancestorship, grows with small, large, immediate, and future contributions. And you will have an opportunity to hear more about these pathways to good ancestorship during a delicious lunch and learn, immediately following the service. I think we should put our little hands together in gratitude for the folks who are the visionaries and caretakers of the Endowment Trust of UU Amherst and those who are feeding body and soul. Making time for an offering of gifts and pledges is an opportunity for us each week to live into one of the core values of Unitarian Universalism, which is generosity. This congregation exists because of you, the acts of service that you engage in, and your generous contributions. Every aspect of congregational life is made possible because of you. If you would like to help pass the basket, Dennis has offering baskets, and he will accept 3 volunteers. Count them, 3 volunteers. If you would like to be part, don't make him beg. We began our service with the lighting of a chalice, a symbolic act to remind us that each of us is a spark that creates the flame that each one of us brings to represent the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of our commitment to bring more compassion and justice to the world. We extinguish the chalice, not to quench the flame, but return it to individual hearts, strengthened by this time spent together, so that we can share our light in the world. Sam, if you'll come up and extinguish our chalice, we'll share our words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. As our service draws to an end, our service to the world is ready to begin. You'll find many opportunities for growth and service in your order of service and on our website. And if you're unsure, just bump into anybody and say, "What can I do?" And I'm sure that we can find some way for you to connect. So perhaps as you came in this morning, you were in such a hurry to get from your car to your assigned seating that you may have missed something fabulous happened in the lobby. So we have an amazing new welcome desk designed and built, conceived in fabulous communication with others, but made all the way by Eric Grote. Eric, please stand and let us love on you. We are so glad you retired. This Thursday is a special opportunity to learn about getting involved in faith development. There will be soup, and talk to Katie after the service if you're interested in a special play workshop on Thursday. October 19th is a magical date. It is the Witch Dance, which is a fundraiser for the Little Free Pantry. And you could probably talk to Marie following the service, since she's the person my eyes alighted on. We're going to keep the fun in fundraising. I had the opportunity to dance the Witch Dance last year. Super fun. It's fun to watch. It's fun to be there. Assuming it's not raining, there will be a bonfire. It'd be fabulous. Speaking of fundraising, oh, so many things. Many thanks to all who have given so far to our much-needed new boiler system so that we can be warm and cozy when the weather is not so much. We're off to an amazingly great start, and every contribution puts us closer to the goal. Of course, next week is our stewardship campaign with the kickoff with the fabulous pancake breakfast, and everybody's welcome. So I just want to make a note that we are starting our season of feasting early, with lunch today, brunch next week, feeding the delegates at the annual meeting of the New York State Convention of Universalists in 2 weeks, our 70th anniversary dinner event 2 weeks after that, and Thanksgiving with friends just a few weeks later. At this rate, we are going to be plump little chickens by the time Scrooge gets around to buying a goose for poor old Bob Cratchit. Just put your bathroom scale away and enjoy food and fellowship with friends in the weeks to come. And many, many thanks to those who have created the lunch for us today. Do stay for the learning part. This is all such important, good ancestorship. I think I made that up. And now, please rise in body or spirit. Be prepared to sing the third verse, twinkling your eyes at one another. Travel light and travel easy till I see you once again. Travel light and travel easy, and remember I'm your friend. May the road rise up to greet you as you leave your past behind. I will think about you gently, and I'll hold you in twinkling eyes. Travel light till I see you once again. Travel light and travel easy, and remember I'm your friend. I am only one, but still I am one. I cannot do everything, but still I can do something. And because I cannot do everything, I will not refuse to do the something that I can do. May we discern the something that we can do as we leave this place and live our values in the world. Go in peace.